This is an interesting and ongoing project that I took several months to complete, most of which because I was just lazy. Obviously you can see I cut this opening to put an outlet in. I ended up stringing it from another live outlet and creating a duplicate here, which was much neater. That left a big hole in the wall. That hole in the wall did allow me to drill down using a long flexible drill bit to run the wire where I needed to run it to the garbage disposal. However, that left me with a big hole. I ordered different types of patches. The one I think is going to be the best and so far has worked out really well is a big round patch, which you can see I've already cut away pieces of, and there's still a little bit left. I'm using just a regular hacksaw blade. After I drew the line out, then scored it with a knife, then used a hacksaw blade to cut into it until it went nearly all the way through. Of course, the original patch was a big round patch. You can still see the indentation here. However, I don't want to cut a giant 6-inch round piece out of this drywall. I just want to patch the little bit that I cut open for an outlet. So in order to do that, I'm taking this 6-inch circle and cutting it down to a square of just the right size to fit into this hole. The final piece has been cut off, and as you can see, it is a pretty tight fit all the way around, which is exactly what I intended. Now that I know that it fits, I'll take it out, put joint compound around the inside. I may cut this a little bit, not entirely certain. I do need to put a little filler in here because of the uh-oh that I had to do to get a camera in here, which is a whole other story. At any rate, once I get the joint compound in here, push this down, squeegee all the excess joint compound out of it, whether it's cut to fit or whether this circle remains and I do a little moving around to get it there. This should be flat and ready to put a little bit more on top of that. It says apply a generous amount of joint compound and spread it in a very thin layer. So I may be covering this over top in addition to the joint compound underneath it to make it look as flat as possible. Fortunately, in addition to that, we are painting the kitchen, so that allows us a little more latitude in something that may not look great at first, but the finished work will take care of covering it up. I actually just dropped the ball and didn't think to get the interim video on this wall patch. But as you can see, what I did was trim it down quite a bit because this does go into a stud, and there's no way I'm going to cut into a stud just to make that bigger circle fit. So I trimmed it around to make it round but much smaller. Once I did that, I put way more than enough joint compound under this paper here, under the flaps. And once I did that, I smoothed it out to the edge with a little flat edge right here. This, of course, is what I applied it with, but you could apply it with either. So once the joint compound was on it and the patch was up, I just smoothed it out until the excess came out. Put that back in the joint compound bucket, cleaned up. Now I'm waiting for this patch to dry. Once it dries, then I'll put another layer on top of it, let that dry, sand it down, and paint it. And hopefully it's not noticeable. We'll see the results here in the next couple of days. You can see here that I spread plenty of joint compound over top of the circle. You can slightly see it below the surface. Once this is good and dried, I'll sand it. I may put a little more on. Let that dry, sand it again until it looks really smooth, and then I'll paint it. Here's the finished product. As you can see, this old switch for the outlet for the garbage disposal, which was our original project. Over here, you can see the wall is very smooth. If you remember where that outlet was, or that outlet hole was cut, there's not really any trace of it left.